All right, we are live and hello everybody. We are back for another edition of About My Book Business. And I am thrilled to be joined again today with my co-host, Deborah C. Mortimer of Learm Publishing. Say hey to the folks,
Hey,
Deb.
so happy to
And
be here.
also, yay! And also today we have with us a really awesome guest, Tamara Mayo, who's the CEO of Taevo Publishing. We're excited to have you here, Tamara. Say hey. Yes.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're all feeling marvelous.
Yes, yes. And we're going to just pick up today, have a conversation about our companies, really talk about why we do what we do, learn more about Tavo and Leap Forward, and more about 10th Muse as well. So let's get it started. I want to hear first about, since we have our guest, then Tavo. Tamara, let's hear from you about what it is that you do and what about your business?
And why you do it?
Well, all right then. First and foremost, Deborah, extra points for you. That was one of the, honestly, when I was in the 7th grade, my language arts teacher, I'll never forget him, Mr. Lancaster. That was the first thing he wrote on the chalkboard on the first day of school. It's the question, why? And he was like, that is the most important question you will ever ask in your life, throughout your life. Including me, starting with, why did I hate this man so much? And see how profound that was, though?
Right?
It took me on a whole path where you realize you can still learn from someone that you don't like very much. So that being said, why we do what we do is a very important question. So, hi, everybody. My name is Tamara Mayo. I am the founder and CEO of Taevo Publishing. Taevo Publishing is a Black-owned, woman-owned, traditional publishing house. And you'll also often find, like, in these spaces, especially with Black-owned publishing houses, you'll hear certain ones of us like really kind of push where we'll say we're a traditional publishing house, we're traditional. And people will want to know why. And so one of the reasons I will say this is it's time for us to really answer the cry of our Black writers who are saying, where are the traditional Black-owned publishing houses? Where are y'all? Because when I entered this industry 15 years ago as a writer, I was asking the exact same thing. Where are our legends? Where are our people? Where are the ones who are building that safe space for us and our creative works? So a traditional publisher, of course, despite all of the rigmarole and all of the different definitions that you'll hear, one of the starkest truths that I always tell people, here's how you identify a traditional publisher. With traditional publishing, money flows from the publisher to the writer, never from the writer to the publisher. That is the number one way you will always distinguish a traditional publisher from any and every other type of publisher, whether they are one of the big 5, whether they are working out of their garage, whether they are publishing from the backseat of their car, whether they are doing it, nonprofit. Listen, you're going to know because they're going to keep that creed and that model. Because when you publish with an author, it's a very special relationship. And when I got into this, I saw what capitalism did to publishing. The same thing it did to, the music industry. The same thing it
What do
always.
you mean by that, Tamara? Tell us what you mean by that. Expand on that.
So I am not ashamed to say I'm an anti-capitalist. I understand we need money to survive. I understand money is a tool that we need in order to live in this world. Okay. I'm also someone who understands that capitalism is unnatural to the growth and evolution of the human spirit and of our journey. So saying that, what you will notice is whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's writing, doesn't matter. What tends to happen is something really great will come out, something beautiful, something raw from a place of, whether it's from pain, passion, whatever, something really amazing will come out. And what happens is it becomes copied and then homogenized. And it becomes this thing of, oh, this is what's popular. So this is the only thing that's going to be accepted. Every other artist that comes out now, you are expected to do this and to meet this standard because that's what's making money right now. And so the moment art becomes governed by what makes money, we've lost. And so this is why I often will tell people, like, capitalism has ruined not just writing and publishing, but like, look at music, look at the art world, look at all of it. It's like, at what point do we say this is great because it's worth $1 million or someone's willing to pay $10 million for it versus this amazing piece of artwork that maybe no one knows about, that this artist might be struggling to sell for $5? Like, why is that? Why are we in our minds saying this one is more valuable? So that's just my opinion, but that's just me kind of going on my rant about capitalism. My thing is, in the publishing world, and I was explaining this to Tresa in another conversation, capitalism came in, at least when I started in the publishing world, I came in when I was about 18. And that was over 20 years ago. And so my thing is, I was noticing then how the books were different from when I was growing up as a kid. I saw so many different types of genres and authors, and just there was so much variety out there. And it was almost like publishers, they weren't afraid to take chances and take risks. And now you started to see things where everything looks alike. If it's a vampire story that made $1 million, then we're going to do a bunch of vampires. If it's an S&M story that made $1 million, well, then this is what everybody's expected to do now. And it's a really strange place to put Black writers in, especially because our minds are so creative and so uniquely different because of our experience. So
what's your take on that, Deborah? Just to kind of hear a response to that.
I think she's absolutely right. And it was very interesting what you were saying, because it made me think of something that I was noticing the other day when I was watching a movie, and the intro for a Goldwyn Mayer production company, with the lion, and it says on top, art for art's sake. But do we really do art for art's sake anymore? Because it really comes down to what sells, what are people going to buy? Like, even with, this is not even publishing, but like with acting, they oftentimes will look at, well, how many followers do you have on social media? Because we know that if we hire you and this movie goes out, if you have 100,000 followers, it's 100,000 people that we know that are going to come and support this film because they're fans of yours. And the same goes for books. It just feels like we're not paying attention to the art, to the message of the writer, to just how good of a story it is, and more into, well, what is it marketable? Will it sell?
Well,
look, I understand.
So where I was going to go is, so in terms of your why, how does that align with your why for how you started Leap Forward? Because I think that kind of feeds right into that narrative as well.
It absolutely does. Well, because Leap Forward Publishing is on its way to becoming a traditional publisher. Would love to get there. We have to have that conversation at another time. But right now it's a hybrid publishing company, but it's focused on developing and promoting books that have representation of diverse people. And it's just children's books for now. And that's my issue, is that I want to put out books that are quality, not just quality in its production, but quality in its message, in its writing. Because so many authors, especially in the self-publishing space, think that it's just about putting together a book and putting it out there, as opposed to getting it edited, finding a quality illustrator, and just putting out something that is of industry standard. And
May I interject really quickly, Deborah?
Yeah, sure.
And quick shout out to Joylyn Ross of Path to Publishing, because she was saying in a conversation, the problem is a lot of us are not paying attention to the business of publishing.
Yeah.
We're only looking at the part of how to put the book together. But one of the most important things that I would implore new authors to think about is, you need to know about things like the cost of each unit. You need to know about things like cost of goods sold. You need to understand things like your profit and loss statement. You need to have a sales plan.
Yeah.
Before you even start jumping into Amazon and all of that. You getting the book prepared and perfected, that's just one part of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's exactly where that's why we started this particular
Yeah.
series, is to talk, because so many times our authors, first-time authors, and even authors who have published more than one book, they are the ones who still don't think about themselves as a business, but understanding that just by pressing publish, you've only begun your publishing journey, and to understand that if you actually intend to grow an audience, to have an impact, to share your story, then having that notion that you are a business and understanding those business aspects is critical to growing your business.
Yeah.
So that's why I started my business, right? 10th Muse, we're all about helping authors create a story and get published and scale by understanding the different aspects of the business. So it's really important to me to amplify those voices. But when you're amplifying the voices, they should be quality, they should be trusted. All of the same standards that exist in any other publishing realm have to exist in ours, and we certainly have the capacity to do it. So the fact is that even with the capacity to do it, if we're not giving ourselves the time, we're not showing respect for ourselves and our craft and our talent. And so it's important that we educate authors about that, and we educate others in the publishing industry who want to strike out, because there are also a lot of people out there who say they're publishers, traditional or self, or a hybrid publisher, or somebody who's providing this service, and they aren't producing high quality products either. And so having that knowledge and understanding truly what the business is
Right.
crucial.
And to settle on that, they don't understand that there's criteria. Like IBPA has very strict criteria as to what is a hybrid publisher. You can't just take people's money and produce a book and that's it. You have to have, there's a submission process. You have to have, and you have to have a guideline. You have to have a mission, and those books have to align with that in order for you to even begin the process. But something else that you were saying, Tamara, that when I produced my first book as a self-published author, just brand new, didn't know my head from my elbow, I thought I was doing pretty good. By the end of the year, when I was going to all these different book signings and festivals and stuff like that, and I was selling out books, I thought I was doing really, really well. Until at the end of the year, when you're doing taxes and you're balancing it all, and you look and you really, really break it down, and you look at how much did I spend on editors, illustrators, book designers, formatters, to actually put out
you all listen very closely to her. The things she's mentioning are what should be done before the book is even produced. Everything that she just named, you need to have an Excel sheet.
We're not even done.
That's the profit and loss statement that I was talking to you guys about earlier. See, this is the glamorous part of publishing.
It's not.
People don't want to talk about.
Exactly.
That's all right. We'll have this conversation.
Yeah. But by the time you're finished and you're looking at how much money you spent on all that, then there's the cost of the offset printer and all of that. When you add up all that, and then you look at how much you made from Amazon with your little $2 checks here and there, and from Ingram Sparks with your little 50-cent checks here and there, deposits here and there, and then you thought that you were doing all right, that you were charging $20 a book or whatever, but then when you balanced it, you realize you are far in the red. Far.
So can I share something with you guys as well?
Yeah.
For those two things, actually. One, you guys need to read this amazing book by Joe Beal of Microcosm Publishing called The People's Guide to Publishing. Mm-hmm. He is an indie traditional publisher out of Portland, and he's been doing it for over 20 years. Just very fringe, indie, underground, purposely does not want to be mainstream, does not deal with Amazon, etc. Like literally in the front of all their books, it'll say if you purchased this on Amazon, we're really sorry, because you could have gotten it cheaper if you purchased it from here, here, and here. So I want you to understand,
I
like,
love that.
it's okay to be a table shaker. It's okay to be an innovator. So that's the first thing I want you guys to know, like, read that. Second thing is, when it comes to the pricing, because I'm so glad you mentioned what you made off of Ingram Spark and Amazon versus what you could be making when we do offset printing, because that's the scariest thing. People are so scared of, like, oh man, I got 2,000 books that I got to move. But here's my thing. If you don't believe in your book enough that you don't think you can move 2,000 copies nationwide, which is less than 0.01%. Like, I mean, when we talk about percentages, if you don't think, then that means you don't have a sales plan. So that's the first thing we're going to talk about. But okay.
Not only that, that means you don't believe in your book.
Right. That's right.
But you also don't have a sales plan. A lot of people believe in their book, but don't have any idea of who they're selling to or how they're going to do it or for how long.
True.
So, but okay, but that wasn't even what I was trying to say. The point I actually wanted to make to you guys regarding the cost of it, because you do lose out when you go through Amazon and Ingram.
Yeah.
I say this from the bottom of my heart as someone who just received a bunch of free copies of books from Ingram. Thank y'all, by the way. It is cheaper to do an offset print because you never want your cover price to be more than 10%. So you, when you're thinking about the cost of your book, let's say you're selling it for $12.99.
Yeah.
The cost per unit shouldn't be more than $1.20 when you get that quote back from your printer. Does that make sense, you guys?
That
so
doesn't.
If they give you that quote of, this is how much it costs for your print run of 2,000. Guess what? It's $1.20 per book, right? All right. Don't be scared. Now you've got your sales plan of, well, I'm moving this for $12.99 anyway. This is how much I'm actually going to make on the back end. Now, do you understand what I mean when I say have a sales plan from beginning to end?
Well, that's definitely a part of it. Absolutely.
Too many of us are flying by the skirt of our pants, by the seat of our pants in this. And I don't want to see that anymore. You asked me about my why, Tresa. You asked me about my why, Deborah. Because so many things are happening right now to us. 100 years from now, those kids that read about our history, I want our kids to read it from us and to know we held that narrative.
Yes.
I want them to read about the movement that Black writers, Black publishers, Black bookstores, Black wholesalers, all of us took as a collective to take hold of our narrative and preserve it and say, we own it. And this is what we're passing to you, children. You don't have to complain about other people holding your narrative the same way we did. You don't have to worry about people lying to you in history. This is the actual truth of what happened.
Yes.
Yep. The only way we're going to make that happen is a collective effort. One publishing company is not going to make that happen. So this is why I do this, because I say when I stepped in this, there were no publishers out there willing to basically be the publishing sluts and just give the information away. Fine. Taevo's willing to be that traditional publishing house that says to the other Black independent publishers, we see you out there and we want you doing it right. We need you in this fight. But in order to refoster that trust in our community, because the trust has been lost, we're not going to sit here and act like we haven't been, like it's not kind of we have to fight to get that trust back from our Black writers and from some of our Black bookstores. We're not going to sit here and act like we don't have to fight to kind of learn to work with each other again. But we're going to get there. We absolutely will. Because part of it's going to start with our professionalism and how we move with each other, how we treat each other, the example and the standards we set, like Deborah said.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
I really appreciate what you said, because there are Black publishers that I'm aware of, they won't be named, that are gatekeepers and they've attained a certain level and they feel like that's it. It's for them and them alone, and they can't share the knowledge. And that does such a disservice to our community.
Yep.
And especially as not just as Black people, but even as women, right? And so that's why I totally believe that, if I come through a door, I'm not closing it behind me. Leave it open. If I have information, let's share it. Let's
lay out the yellow brick road, right?
let's
What's wrong
share
with
it.
us? What are we doing? What are we doing? Go ahead, Deborah. I'm sorry, you got me filled with the spirit.
Let's share it, because we can all come through together. We can all shine. There's enough. See, and I think that's the problem, is that we don't have an abundance mindset. We don't think there is enough for all of us.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
I hate
And it's still enforcing the idea that somebody else is controlling our circumstances, our outcomes, our future, which is not the case. We are in control. And the only way that we keep that from happening is that we give our control. We can give our control over to other people and let them tell us who we are and dictate the narrative, which have been our history.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a moment where we see and we can seize the power that we have, the control that we have, and maintain it and retain it for ourselves and carry it forward in a positive way.
Right.
Agreed.
100% agree. Standing on business on that.
Yes. So, Tamara, what do you have going on now? What are you working on, and what's coming up for you?
Whew. So, one of the biggest things, and I'm glad Deborah mentioned that they want to pivot into traditional publishing.
Yes.
I can't stress enough that, especially with the way this recession is, the way the economy is going, authors, especially Black authors, are not going to be able to carry this industry. They're not. Their paychecks are not going to be able to. They cannot support the graphic designers, the book cover designers, the typesetters, the formatters, the editors, the publishers, the wholesalers. They're not. I'm telling you, the writers can't carry this. Okay,
You gotta tell me. I know.
They are what we are going to see, and I admit the Big Five have spoiled a lot of things. While they have done some really great things and have given us some really great works that we have grown up with, some of my favorites came out of the Big Five. They are the biggest movers and shakers of this capitalism homogenization movement, and it's sad. And so one of the things that we want to make sure we do is we encourage and empower other Black independent publishers. So we've started Blips on the Radar. And one of the things that we've done with that is we want to share a lot of industry knowledge. We want to share ways how we can get funding. We want to share ways that publishers, especially the small indie ones, can start making a local impact and start doing more B2B business. Because see, a lot of the problems with us traditional publishers, because we got that high integrity level and we're like, oh, authors don't pay us at all. We don't take money for services. And that is absolutely true. When it comes to authors who are entering into that precious, intricate trust agreement with you of a publishing contract. But when you have local businesses in your area who need things like employee handbooks and sexual harassment handbooks, and they need you to come and talk to them about your industry expertise, small independent publishers, my Black-owned traditional publishers, I need you to understand when you're ready to go out and start getting funding and things from your banks, you need to be able to show them that you have multiple streams of income. You need to be able to show them that your business has multiple streams of income. While they're going to applaud you for the fact that you uphold and take care of the authors in your community and you're saving them from the vanity publishers out there, they still want to know, okay, well, what are you doing B2B wise?
So well, that's my heart and soul is B2B.
Come on, Tresa. So for the Black independent publishers out there, that's something that we are trying to share, that we are trying to show you that the help is out there. The resources are out there because we need more traditional Black publishers. I had one author that we want to take her book so bad, but can't because it doesn't fit within our schedule. We're already coming out with an anthology called Why I Stayed, which is an anthology from, it's a collection of different stories from domestic violence survivors, and it's in response to, this backlash and this talk that we've been hearing online for the past, I want to say, year and a half, where people are like being very like non-empathetic to domestic violence victims. It's like very much like, well, she must have wanted it, or she, well, I mean, why is she staying, or why is you? Obviously, if you're staying that long, then you know you must have want. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I get it. Like with each generation, we have to keep teaching about, you know, domestic violence and awareness and whatnot. But with the rise of podcasts and the rise of certain movements that are like very anti-woman and very dangerous rhetorics going out, I'm like, okay, let's at least talk to the younger people, or the people who have questions about this and are like, you know, I've never been in this situation. So I want to understand emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, what happens to get someone in that place. Because while I've never been there, I could get there one day. It's a slow chipping away to get you to that point before you actually get hit for the first time. So we're very excited about being able to give a platform and continue to add in and throw in our hat in the ring and do what we can to help. Because domestic violence awareness is a big monster. We've all been fighting it. Every single one. There are so many organizations out there where we're all collectively trying to raise the awareness, but it's still a problem that's happening. Very weird. So that's
so your anthology is coming out. When is that coming out?
So as of right now, and this is what you guys are going to learn with regard to publishing, especially independent publishing, and you run your own house. Don't be afraid if you have to push the project back.
Well, I know that.
If things don't work out, please don't put out a bad project. Put out a news release. Let the people know, hey, we're pushing it back for this reason. So as of right now, we have it slated for December 2024, but we're still open for submissions. And so because I'm still open for submissions, I know for a fact we may push this back, because we like to give 6 to 8 months just for the whole development, especially when you're dealing with different authors, you're dealing with different voices. You have a whole PR plan figured out where it's like you want these authors to be able to talk collectively and vibe off of each other. It's a whole thing. It's a lot of planning that goes into just one book. So then we've got the second book, which is an anthology of fantasy, science fiction, and speculative fiction from Black voices. We want things that are not dealing with slavery, not dealing with our trauma. I love futuristic stuff. I love all of it. Take us to another planet. Show us that we were from another planet. I don't care. Think outside of the box. But we don't have to be rooted. All of our magic and spirituality doesn't have to be rooted in trauma and slavery. Just want to let y'all know that, by the way.
Well said.
For anyone that wants to submit, go outside the box and be crazy with it. It's literally called Universes of a Creator. That's what the anthology is called, because in that moment, you are the creator. What does your universe look like? And we want to know. But those are the two projects that we're trying to put out this year, as well as a directory of BIPOC publishers, bookstores, agents, everything. Like
marketers. Don't forget the marketers.
No, everyone. Every part of the infrastructure. When I tell you, like, it needs to be like a Yellow Pages, but it's us.
A lot of people don't know about them Yellow Pages.
Everything. Because one of the things, going back to the author that we couldn't take on, one of the saddest parts of, because she understood why it was a no. It wasn't because it was a bad manuscript. It was a great manuscript. We literally just couldn't fit it in our production schedule.
Yeah.
But I didn't have anyone I could refer her to. Does that make sense, you guys? Come on.
Well, wait a second. If she wasn't willing to wait.
She wanted it to come out in 2024. So I was like, we could, I said, I could put you on for 2025, but she was like, I need it 2024. Understood. And that's another thing as a publisher. Listen, don't hold them back. At the end of the day, if it's not meant to be, don't try to convince them to sign with you.
Oh, of course not.
And give them promises. I'm not just talking to you, Deb.
Yeah.
I was talking to anybody.
I know.
Guys, we have people out here who are hungry and they want to become publishers because they hear the cry. They know the pain points because they're out there in the trenches. The problem is no one's showing them how to build a proper house and how to sustain that house. And
Well, I think that comes down to, learning, taking that responsibility on to acquire the knowledge, whether it is like as you have from the ground up. I mean, you didn't even talk about that a whole lot about how
I
you really
didn't.
have you really learn. And Deborah, the same thing. Like you all are publishers who have worked on acquiring the knowledge on all the processes, all the aspects, because you have an intention to do it at a standard of quality that other many people don't. They just feel like, oh, I just want to get my book out there. And it really is kind of a vanity venture, even in terms of the publishing and production. This is an industry, this is a business. Let's circle back to that, because that's really what the point is, that we're doing something. You wouldn't take a job and not expect to have the foundational knowledge and skills to be able to do the job well. And so, but if you are that kind of person, then that's going to be reflected in everything that you do too. So it's important to really understand that if you're going to call yourself a publisher, understand what a publisher is. Now, I'm going to tell you my definition, because it has evolved over time, because I've worked in traditional publishing and I've worked in digital and all aspects. And so as I started to study more and got my master's, I had to define it for myself. And to me, publishing is the practice of creating and disseminating content across different platforms. Historically, it has been a print focus, right? But we live in this digital age.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, so but no matter whether it's print or digital, there are still foundational methods that you use in order to create a quality product. And a book is a product. And if you're creating a book as a product, then you have to think about how you're going to market and sell that product and what your ultimate goals are. That's the thing that's where people get stuck. So I just really want to emphasize that being a publisher isn't just something you just like go to the office store down the street and print some pages. That's not publishing.
Saying that, because I mean, with the rise of the Amazon gurus in the early 2000s, it was, the mantra was anybody could be a publisher. Oh, right. Anybody can publish. Anybody can publish a book. And it's like, no, there is way more to this than simply getting a Word doc or whatever, a PDF, and throwing it up on Amazon. Like, what?
Yes.
So
yeah,
I really just want to say thank you for, like, as a Black publisher, like, who, and also project manager, like, I literally want to cry, because it feels to me like this is what I've been trying to like say to other people when I mentor them. I'm like, no, this is not even something where you should be wearing all the hats.
No.
Right.
This
That's
is something where, like, first of all, if you're, because everyone's going to be just starting out. I understand some of you guys that are just starting out, you're a skeleton crews, and I get it. But you need to know, you need to go into a project manager mindset, and you need to know who you need to be hiring, what deliverables they need to be sending your way. And you also need to know what standard and how to communicate what standard it needs to be.
Yes.
You need to know. I mean, woo. Thank you.
And the other part of that, I'll just 1 second. I want to talk about the access to capital, right? Because historically, for a long time, we didn't have access to capital at the level that we do. And there are still barriers, but we do have more access to more channels of capital right now than we ever have in history. And so things have changed. It's a different game. And so, no, you don't have to be out here doing everything yourself. But again, if you're deciding that you're going to do a business, then you have to put your plan together. Mm-hmm. And then you look at all the ways in which you can generate funds to grow your business, to invest in your business, so that it really can be a situation where you can hire the right people, the right team to actually do the work and produce the quality products that you want and grow the business that you want to grow.
You're exactly right, Tresa. So here's my thing too, because I know in the Black publishing world, my fingers to the pulse, you guys. I know what y'all are out here doing. I understand what my people are out here doing. I see y'all. You guys are like, I want books from people who look like me, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. You're like, I want my kids growing up reading children's books from authors that look like us with characters that look like, I get it. We hear you.
Mhm.
Okay. My only thing is we need to stop being in such a rush because we deserve quality. We deserve the best, and we deserve to give ourselves the best. So don't get out there shooting yourself in the foot because you want so badly to be so a part of the solution. Understand that when it comes to publishing, because you are going to start off by yourself. That's the reality. Whether it's Joe Beal, myself, all the people that I mentioned and name drop so far, everyone started off by themselves because that's where every publishing company starts, right here.
Yes.
Every publishing company starts right here in your mind.
Yep.
So you're going to start off by yourself. But you need to understand, okay, in order to first get the book developed, it goes through several different phases. And in each of those phases, who are the key players that need to be involved?
Mhm.
How much do those key players cost? In the very beginning, you guys, I paid for everything out of my pocket. Everything, because that was what I love. We don't go into publishing to get rich, you guys. We go into publishing to preserve, to elevate and elevate voices and to try and preserve our works. That's what we do this for. So we're not coming into this because we think we're gonna, be flossing on you. Okay. But understand that when we say we need you, we also need you at your best. So know that there are SCORE mentors out there. Know that there are grants out there. Know that there are people out there who can help you get money and assistance. Know that there's government money out there. Okay, where you as a business, you can contract with the government and be like, look, your local government, and look, this is what we do. You can go to schools and have an after school program and help them. Hey, I'm a publisher and this is my after school. I'm talking to you traditional publishers who are like, I am broken right now and I don't know where to get funds or where to get money from. I don't know how to keep this going. Well, guess what? You're not going to be helping any authors if you can't keep your doors open. So I'm telling you, you need those. Before you even start, you need to be thinking, what are the 5 to 7 different streams of income I'm bringing in? Taevo, we don't even do print publishing like that. We're a digital publisher. We saw what was happening with ebooks over a decade ago. Even though everyone's still like, oh, ebooks we only sell 1%. Like some people are like, ebooks make up 1% of our sales. I don't care. I see what's happening with our people in our community.
Mhm.
I see how our youth are responding to ebooks. So I was like, okay, got it, clocked it. I want our people and as many of our people to know how to make EPUB files as possible. I need us to not be left behind. I need us to be ahead of this game. I need us knowing how to make digital magazines. I need us knowing how to make digital publications of all kinds.
Yeah. Well, that's true. And then there is what Deborah does with children's books, right? So you still need those tangible products too. You need that mix. So talk about that, Deborah, and what's your take on that?
Yeah, I am a big proponent of the book in hand when it comes to children, because I think that our kids are a little bit too tied to digital media, iPads, television. And so I and myself and a lot of other children's book authors, especially when we put out a book, we tend to put out the hardcover first and then wait a little bit before we put out the ebook. But I hear you on everything that you're saying. But so going back to something that you said, though, it's kind of hard when you have an author, let's say a self-published author who's put out a book, and to tell them that their book is lacking in quality or here are some key things that you can do to make your book more marketable or make it of a higher quality. When you go on Amazon and they have 50 5-star reviews, they tend to put more credence in the reviews than in what you're saying as a publisher, that this is how, because they want to know, well, why am I not getting this book in Barnes and Noble?
Right.
Why am I not getting this book in Barnes and Nobles? Why is this book not getting recognized? Why can't
Can I give you a tip?
Why is it not eligible for? Why is it not eligible for certain awards? Why can't I do certain things with this book? And and then when you tell them, well, Barnes and Nobles, yeah, they let self-published authors come in, but they still have to fit a certain criteria. They still have to be well edited. They still have to have a certain trim size, page number. It has to look a certain
The
way.
design, the look.
I am going to save y'all that whole
Yes.
conversation because
Yeah, go
I've
ahead.
had that happen 4 times in our 15-year career. And I'm going to tell y'all, finally, the last 2 times, what has finally helped, and I finally figured out the method.
Go ahead.
Because they all said that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got more reviews. The only author that has not done this is my VIP author, who is my mom. And this is why I'm going to circle back around, because our story, like our PR lady was fine. Like, no, you need to lean into that story that your mom is basically like the everything of your company. But listen, we'll talk about that in a minute. Those authors who say to y'all, and I'm saying this to y'all and anybody watching this who's in publishing, this is what you're going to do the next time they come to you with that book that has a whole bunch of 5-star reviews, and they are really smelling themselves, and they are like, "Whoo, I'm ready to be in Barnes and Noble." You're going to go to Barnes and Noble. You're going to find the comp of that book. We call it the gym version of that book, GEM.
Right.
Okay.
Whatever that book is, whatever they wrote it about, you're going to go and find the better, awesome, #1 super dope version of that book. You're going to take it and you're going to put it next to theirs, and you're going to show them, and you're going to tell them to leaf through that book and let them see the differences between the two. And you're going to explain you don't have to say anything else. It doesn't
Well,
look
it's
like
interesting that you say that.
That's actually a good
That's
method.
the
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, that's what.
and I just say that's why.
Yeah.
So I let them look at the two and I go, that's why.
Yeah.
So if you're ready to get to that level, we
Let's
can
talk.
definitely take you there.
Yeah.
But until then, look at theirs.
Right.
And look at you. That's why.
Right.
And I don't even argue. We don't have time to argue, because you know why? When we're trying to convince them, we're not putting that focus and energy on that author who is willing to listen, who is like, you know what? I am ready for traditional publishing. I did my homework. No, I'm ready to listen. I trust you. But I get it. Part of it too is the trust has been eroded.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when you have people out there for 15 years saying anybody can be a publisher, and then you have all these weird, janky publishers that look like us kind of out there doing weird stuff, it's like those of us who are acting and moving with integrity, we have to jump over more fences. We have to like work 3 times harder in order to show them, like, look, I know what I'm talking about here. Okay. I'm not, I'm not just saying that. And on top of that, like, I'm spending my own money on this. Okay.
Yeah.
So
right.
I didn't start off publishing my own book. Like my first book my book was #5 on our list. The first author, because I knew coming into this was how serious I was about publishing. I was like, I want to be a publisher, but I have to learn everything from the beginning. Deborah and Tresa, that means I have to learn what a contract looks like. I have to learn what a publishing contract should look like, and what should be in it, and what should be fair to my authors. Even if the rest of the industry doesn't agree with what I'm doing, even if the rest of the industry is like, that's what you're paying in royalties? Why? You'll never make any money. But I had to understand, okay, how am I going to fight this industry if I don't understand how they're undercutting authors, right? So, but who's going to take a chance on a fledgling publisher, brand new, basically working out of like her house? No one. But my mom took a chance on me. Because
that's awesome.
I'd gone through a vanity publisher when I was 14 years old.
Wow.
And the book is dope to this day.
Yeah.
It's our first book that came out, Abused and Abandoned by Joyce Mayo. First book.
Wow.
She did that when I was 14, and I still have that signed copy. But I asked her, I said, would you be willing to let me remake this book? I was like, I'm going to sign you as our author. I had to sit down and explain to her, okay, yeah, we're purchasing not purchasing, we're licensing. There's another thing, publishers, we don't own the rights. We license them for a set amount of time. This is not the music industry. We don't hang people over balconies.
Well, yeah. Well, I
Anyway,
don't
but
know.
anyway, point is,
Hmm.
she was the
We
one willing
gotta-
to take a chance, and that's what you guys need to learn. If you guys are serious about publishing,
Right.
learn every aspect of it before you start signing authors and just putting contracts in front of them. Before you
Right.
start, understand how you're going to take care of them,
Yeah.
because this is a very intricate relationship. And I'm going to shut up now. I'm such a chatty girl.
I know we need to wrap up soon. I just wanted to give Deb a chance to comment and to talk a little, a couple more minutes to wrap up, and then we'll just like have a final word before we jump off here. This has been a great conversation.
It has.
I knew that you were going to be the person who was going to like bring it, Tamara. So I'm really grateful that you're here.
No,
Absolutely.
I was going to say that I totally. I don't know if you know this, but I'm actually an attorney. I'm an intellectual property attorney, along with being. Yeah,
you and I. Okay, see, look at that, Tresa.
So I mean, I
do.
We're gonna have this conversation.
Yes, I have seen many a publisher with their agreements. Tresa and I have done that. We've looked at it and I'm like, well, wait, there's no exit door in this contract. There's like, it just looks like they own their copyrights in perpetuity. Like it's just a whole bunch of different things. And I'm like, and before I decided that, because I was doing with Leap Forward Publishing, I was just really doing self-publishing consulting. And then I said, you know what, I want to do hybrid publishing, then move into traditional publishing. And I said, the first thing I did was I spent a lot of time working on the contracts, a lot of time. And I tried to educate, especially self-published authors, on their illustrator agreements, their editor agreements. And especially with the illustrator agreements, some of them don't even know that they're paying for something and they don't own the copyright to their work, to the illustrations. I'm like, no, you don't. And they're like, but I pay. No, it doesn't say it in the contract. Did you read the contract? They don't know.
Well, and it's funny because I feel like this goes back to what you were saying, Tamara, about being a project manager. I'm a project manager too. And in project management, we learned that 80% of the project is the planning.
Right.
And so these are the components, these are the aspects of the planning. It is getting the contracts right. It is understanding the process. It is putting the sales plan in place. All the plans have to be in place so that when you're ready to execute, the execution is the smallest part.
Right.
So that's really critical. And so I love that it all lines up. So
Deborah,
y'all, we're gonna have to wrap it up.
I know we have to wrap up.
Offline,
Can I ask Deborah one quick question though?
And then we may have to just schedule a call with me and you. We may have to do that.
I can't believe you're an attorney. I can't believe it. Tresa, thank you so much for this. I'm so excited.
Absolutely.
Look, I read your blogs on your website and you wrote I love the blog that you wrote where you were talking about copywriting your work. A lot of authors don't do that.
I was like, I don't know why they don't. And I'm like, as a publisher, I'm going to just give y'all a tip. Just don't tell me it's copyrighted, because you're just letting me know that you're green and you're an amateur. Like, it's not that we don't want it copyrighted. Just don't tell us. Like, that's like somebody basically getting in the car in the driver's seat and being like, looking at you and being like, guess what? I'm driving.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't work.
I mean, it's expected of you to do that because that's where you're sitting, but okay. Like, that's all I'm saying. Like, I just try to tell authors, like, be professional. That's what's lacking in Black publishing right now, but that's not our fault. But that's something we can fix right now, where we step in as the mentors and say, all right, this is how you put your best foot forward, you guys. This is what we don't do. This is what we don't say. This is how we actually do it.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Our industry changed. So
yes, thank you.
I love
Final word.
All my new friends.
Deb, anything else before we jump off our live? This has been so great. Thanks.
Yeah,
so
I don't
much.
think I have anything else. No, this has been amazing.
I mean, we could go on and on and on.
We could
cover all the things. With the three of us, we could cover a lot. So, but it's been great connecting with you all. And I know we're going to talk more. Tamara and Deborah, y'all are going to connect. And of course, I'm going to see all of y'all because that's y'all are my peeps. And I love this collaboration. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Tamara and I, we're going to talk more about things that we have coming up going forward.
Oh, absolutely.
And share that. And
it's going to be a great year.
Yes, it's going to be.
Yes,
It's already is. It already is. Here we are in the second quarter, and the momentum is building. And so that's what we have to hold on to,
right.
and you to support each other and motivate and inspire each other, and then work together to make what we want a reality, make our whys our reality. Support them all day, every day.
Exactly. I agree.
All right, y'all. Well, thanks so much, and we will talk again soon. Have
Okay.
a great
Have a
one.
great evening, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye,
guys.
everybody.
Bye.